My name is George Hopkins. I'm the director of the Cadets. I'm here to give you some insight into how we put together the 2002 production, An American Tribute. After September 11th, we were, as most people, devastated. Our offices and rehearsal facilities are just about 10 miles to the west of New York City. When we sat down to do our programming meetings in October, we played through music, and pretty quickly we decided on a New York-based program. Mark Sylvester, the drill designer for the Cadets and a program coordinator for many years, brought up the 95 model, a show the Cadets performed that was based on the 40s, complete with a war reference. And, well, there was an obvious connection. We decided then to pay tribute to our country and a city, the city of New York, and we decided to do that by connecting to perhaps the one time in U.S. history where patriotism was at such a high level of intensity, the 1940s. As we began the show, we wanted to be clear to the audience that we were in New York City. We used the music from On the Town and Fancy Free to set the mood and to allow the color guard particularly to set the characterization. We performed the Empire State Building, and then the color guard, and then the full corps perform our rendition of the classic New York City traffic jam. This little chunk here with our featured color guard person was really meant to cover up a little inadequacy we had within the program. As we move into On the Town here, how we move from one chunk to the other didn't really work in terms of generating impact and getting the crowd involved. So we actually opened things up there and allowed that one member, by screaming taxi, to at least create a transition for us. The rest of the program here, the opening production, is all about the color guard. We put them front stage, first with dance and then with the silks, also that the audience can enjoy the costuming, enjoy their performance, and really early on in the program be clear about the importance of the color guard within this full production. To close, we turn to classic drum corps, big chords, drill move, sabers in the air, final volley here to finish off the opening production of On the Town. If you've seen the Cadets during the year, you'll know that our 3-suite production of New York City turned into a 2-suite, primarily because we were overtime, as is a tradition in the cadet history. We pulled a second movement that was a down and dirty section of music and visual production from On the Town. We replaced it with this presentation idea where each of the percussion sections were presented one after another, and it was surrounded by this box wherein we could open and close stages, therein pulling the eyes of the audience to whichever section of the field we preferred for people to look. Different sections of the percussion line were featured. It really did not work out quite as well as we had anticipated, primarily because we did not have an ending to this chunk. Again, time came into play. What we ended up doing was utilizing the percussion section to finish things off. They had a very, very strong feature here, and we had an excellent percussion line. But it wasn't theoretically what we had planned to do. We had planned to have a large musical finish that would elicit crowd response. We just weren't able to quite pull that all together. To finish the piece off, we do turn to, again, big chords, big drumming, and a big visual move. Again, what we're trying to balance oftentimes within our productions are theater and drum corps. One aspect of drum corps that we've utilized over many years is full-speed drill moves to complete productions. Sometimes it's quite a challenge for the members, 180 beats a minute, 200 beats a minute. But when it's pulled off and when it's done well, it definitely generates crowd response and always a strong ending to any production. Now that we set the New York stage, what we do is move on to tell the actual story, the move from peacetime to war. We do that with the music from Field of Dreams, which is obviously not a 40s selection, but from an emotional standpoint, we felt it best characterized and would best support what we intended to do. We begin with the newspapers, the opening of the papers where the young women learn that, in fact, war has been declared and their boyfriends or husbands will be going off to war. From a programming standpoint, we utilized war posters from that time period that we superimposed onto dance boxes on the underside. So particularly here in the television production, you can see the different posters, and they form a great backdrop to the dancing and the characterization that's going to be performed by the color guard. One somewhat controversial aspect of our production was this dressing of the young men from the guard. Our intention, again, was to have different stages. To the left stage were the women who were lamenting their men who were about to leave them for a long period of time. Center stage were the men themselves who were dressing from the classic white undergarments that you've seen in many movies. And we actually wanted to depict that change, moving from peace to war, through their dressing, actual dressing on the field. From an audio standpoint, we also juxtaposed a military drum beat that was backfield that laid against or underneath the lyrical strains of Field of Dreams. Eventually, right here, all comes together. The percussion line, although not lined up, many people would probably think the mood was similar as the tension builds within the brass. From a color guard standpoint, the work is busy, very active, as they too try to depict this building in tension. The form wraps forward, all intended to really pull you as close to the core as possible, so that when we hit the climax and we move to the Pledge of Allegiance, you are really right there with us. And if you look to the bottom of your screen, you'll see that even the judges were drawn into the program. The Pledge was added into the program just a few days after the California controversy hit the papers. It seemed to fit naturally for us, was a part of certainly the patriotism we were trying to communicate to the audience, and so we added it to the show. It really worked very well. Our members were very, very happy that we added the Pledge to the program, and most audiences were very, very appreciative. Following the story of Off to War, we moved to the party as we send our troops overseas. And to do that, we selected a classic piece, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. The idea of this piece in the program was to concentrate more on staging versus drill design. The theater was very important to us, and in fact, things like this dance, being up on top of boxes, how we stage the percussion, there was really no way for us to do that inside of the conventional drum corps composition that many organizations, in fact, the cadets have used over the year. So we pretty much did away with the drill. We concentrated on the dance. We let the horn players play as well as they possibly could, featured as many sections as we could, and the percussion line was background, at least for most of the piece. Coming up here is a percussion feature that Tom Ungst, the percussion arranger for the cadets, put together. It's based on the old Army 6/8 from a rhythm standpoint. It's very, very rudimental, and yet we're able to incorporate today's drumming and really show off the drum line in a spectacular fashion. We had a few things going on here, and if you look at the other angles here on the DVD, everything from a very military, old-style marching program to playful exchange between the male and female members of the color guard. And it all pays off with a big toss from the girls to the guys, and from there on out, it's pretty much charge the stands. We went outside in terms of what we normally do here in terms of visual construction. There is no drill out there. It's all about the horn line getting as close to the audience as they can. We want people to hear and feel the music as best we can communicate. The backbeat percussion, you can see within the video itself. I mean, we want people up in the stands. We get them up in the stands, and that was really, absolutely, positively the intention of this piece. A little side note to all this, when the last phrase kicks in with the big brass and the backbeat percussion, there's a key change that happens there. It's actually stolen from Barry Manilow tricks, and probably a good time as any for me to admit that I'm a closet Barry Manilow fan. Following the party, it is time to go off to war. We use this musical transition to signify that. From there, we actually went into some original programming. Don Hill, the brass arranger for the Corps, and Tom Ungst created a modern version of On the Town, where we took references from New York, melodies from On the Town itself, and even some licks from West Side Story, anything that was related to New York. So our idea was to allow for big visual production, but at the same time, give a different twist to a musical theme that we had hoped to create throughout the program. The mood of this selection is supposed to be very upbeat, much like when, even today, after 9/11, when we first go to war, there's a feeling amongst the country that this is all going to work out, that we will be successful. And thusly, we tried to do that through this production. I mean, it is very positive. It has a modern, but yet a very uplifting feel to it. We were well aware that we had not moved much for the preceding two productions, so a large emphasis throughout the final selection is on movement, features of the rifle line, the color guard, different brass sections were featured, and it all finally comes together in a final drill move before we'll close out the program. The cadets were, from a competitive standpoint, beat up a good amount because of the time that we spent standing still. Our position has been and will be in the future that our job is to show you that we can demonstrate different skills, but we're not necessarily do we have to demonstrate the same skill over and over and over again throughout the program. For the finale to this tribute to America, we went back to some tried and true techniques, silent rifle features, company fronts, American flags with stars, forming the American flag. There was no secret ingredient here. This was all straight ahead, in your face, drum and bugle corps, loud chords, fast drill, all meant to really bring the program to a close, to stir feelings of patriotism, and quite frankly, to have the audience feel that being an American is something they're very, very proud of. This was our small contribution to America at a difficult time in our history. The cadets were most affected, as the rest of the world, by the events of 9/11. And through the production, we hope to tie together a very patriotic time in our history, the 40s, and here's an example with Iwo Jima, and tie that, lay that against the picture of the firemen at the World Trade Center. It was a way for us to connect from the 40s to today, from yesterday to today, and hopefully in a manner that had people feel good about their country and feel good about the future of our country.